Hello, welcome to Mac and Cheese Movies. I'm Scotty Coppage, and I can't wait to be exploring Gotham, James Rumfeld.
Hello.
Today we have a special guest, a friend of Mac and Cheese Movies, actor Mark Rolston.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Hey man, doing great. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing great.
Good to see you again.
Glad to be talking with you again.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Yeah. You guys got through your summer okay?
Yeah, it's still 95 degrees here in Texas.
It's the worst.
Yeah, we've got that today out here.
Yeah.
We had a brutal 9 days. It was just blazing.
Oh. Yeah.
115 here at my house.
Oh, geez.
Ooh.
Jeez. That's what it was like this summer in Texas. Yeah.
Wow.
Relentless. We had that, like, we had a collection of years where, like, it was doing that for like 100+ days in a row.
Yeah. 100
We had like
weather.
a 5-year
Yeah.
drought. It was terrible, man.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I know they had that in Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I told my wife. A few years back, we had 118, and I said, I don't want to live in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Phoenix came to live with you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's too hot, man. It's too damn hot.
You're a screen legend, not only on the TV screen, the animated screen, the silver screen, but Mark, you're a pixel screen legend with big roles in a lot of video games. And today you have Batman Arkham Shadow coming out where you play Commissioner Gordon, a highly anticipated game. Are you excited for the release?
Absolutely, man. The technology is incredible. I saw little snippets of it when we were doing some ADR work. The cinematics are incredible. You know, the new camera, this, virtual reality camera shoots at a frame rate 5 times what a film camera does. They call it hyper reality, and it is. It's just so real. It'll blow your mind. When we normally do a game, like say when I do Spider-Man, they always do like a 4K facial capture. So the facial capture is really quite good. But the body, it's a little bit wooden. But with this new game, it's seamless. It's technology racing ahead. AI at its best, right?
Wow.
So are you on this game? Are you going in and getting like mocapped and everything? Are they like recording your performance?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was
Mocap.
just voice. Yeah, that's
Just
awesome.
voice work. No, we film it just like we would like on Spider-Man. But the difference being is the transfer from whatever they're shooting to the computer. The computer generates my avatar instantaneously. So, like normally, say on Spider-Man, when we're filming, you can see your character, even though it is my face, but this is a complete avatar. Facial, so I didn't have to do any facial capture. Whatever program they're using now in the virtual reality instantaneously transfers my performance to the computer, to the software.
That's
It's phenomenal. In fact, I was told the next time we do a game in virtual reality, the suit, the dots, the camera hanging off your head, it'll all go away. They're going to have eyeglasses. And we can be dressed in anything we want, just comfortable clothes. But you wear eyeglasses where when you look through them, you'll see your fellow actor's avatar.
Oh.
And vice versa. They'll see, so we'll be acting avatar to avatar.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So it's like
That's
augmented
really cool.
reality where you can still see the real world, but you're acting with those.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and the most fascinating thing was one day when we were filming, we were at the Charlie Chaplin Studios, and we were in a very low-ceilinged room. And the head guy came in, and he just kind of wanded the room, like with a little remote control thing all the way around. And then he put the glasses on me, and boom, there you were in the midst of like this cavernous building, like in Gotham City with, steam and just texture. And, there's a virtual menu on these goggles, right? So that there's one that has like 3 silhouettes on it. If you press it, you can include all the other beings in the room. they don't see the reality, but you can include them in your reality. But it's mind blowing that you for real virtually touch it. I mean, how is that? It's like,
yeah, there was a place. I think COVID killed it. Out where you are, there may be something different. I'll try to do some research and send it to Scotty, but there used to be a place called The Void, and it was a mixed reality thing where you wore virtual reality goggles and they had all these experiences like Ghostbusters and Star Wars. I did the Star Wars and the Ghostbusters one, but you have like a gun moving through these hallways, and before you put the goggles on, it's just a gray room. And as soon as you put the goggles on, all of that is skinned and you're in a live firefight, but you're moving around with this backpack on, and they have temperature changes and wind blasts. It's incredible. Mixed reality is incredible.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's just going to be better and better and better every year. We're hoping for a big release. I think people are going to be interested because there's quite a number of big name people in the game. Elijah Wood and Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker, and we had a ball. It's
people are excited about. All four of my kids were freaking out that I told them I was getting to talk to you again, but we were talking specifically about Batman. I have questions from them specifically because they're huge fans of the.
Are you gonna buy the goggles?
Yeah, no, we have all the shit, man.
You have it all. You have it all. Wow.
We have. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine it's like anything over time, the price of the goggles will come down.
Yeah, they will. They've actually come down quite a bit, and now with being able to move, like the Quest, with it being wireless, being able to just set up in your room, and like the original set of VR goggles that I bought with the Vive, it's all wired in, and you're very restricted. It's getting cooler and cooler. VR was kind of a shtick for a minute, but now they've progressed it to the point. And this game, I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but after watching all the stuff, the way that they've brought the Arkham combat from the console series over to where you're actually, because I thought you would just be waving your fists and it would be a little sticky, but they've got Batman punching specific places because he's trying to hit pressure points, and there's all kinds of cool shit happening. It's very cool.
Wow. Yeah.
This is your third Batman game to be in. What's it like working on a game franchise like this? Is it the same creators, the same team, or is it like new people every time?
Well, there's a consistency with, like, say, the Spider-Man crew. It was all started with Insomniac Games. Great bunch of people, just super creative. Again, we have a blast. They're very collaborative, which is great. But then they got purchased by Sony, which is good. It means they have more money to make even better games. Games are interesting, though, because from conception to release, it's 5 years. Easy 5 years. And a lot of money, like, in the range of $200 million. Of course, when the day it's released, it'll make $1 billion. But there's a lot of continuity. They keep the same crews. This is the first game I've done with Meta and Warner Brothers, but slight crossover. The voice director, Chris Zimmerman Salter, she's on Spider-Man as well. But
cool.
I'm happy to say, she championed me to the Meta crew to get me into the game, which was great.
Yeah.
Again, great group of guys, amazing story. Ryan Payton, who's the head of the Meta crew, interesting guy. He graduated university, I believe it was up in Washington State. And when he graduated, he studied, video games, and couldn't get arrested anywhere and was despondent. He went to Japan. He was teaching English in Japan for a while. Met a woman. They're married. They have a young daughter now. And he was continued to build or work on virtual reality. Then Meta heard about him. They met. They scooped his company up, and it's just a great success story because he told me, actually, with with a bit of emotion, how he loved being able to go back to his dad because his dad had sort of propped the company up a couple of times in hard times.
Sure.
And he was able to hand his father the entire investment, like back to him in one lump sum.
Wow.
And, and that's, I love stories like that, and he's a super guy. But yeah, interesting crew. Like a lot of his crew are in Japan, Americans in Japan.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We had an opportunity, my wife and I, to go. We were guests of the Marine Corps. It was primarily for aliens, but Japan is extraordinary. I'm telling you, if you want to go somewhere that is totally unique, but safe, clean, people are so respectful and nice, and go to Japan. I'm telling you, it blew our minds. And the dollar's strong right now, so you can have a good time for a lot less. It's a bit of a flight. It's pretty long, but I'm dying to go back.
What a great underdog story for this guy, in this to go through all that and then to come back on the other side and it's like when these geniuses who are working on something for 10 years and they don't know where it's going, but then that thing just hits.
Yeah, it's nice when I don't know. There's always a fine line between sticking with something too long. You know what I mean? It's like the guy that wants to be a musician, but he never gives it up. And then eventually it's like, oh man, you probably should have went into something else because you still live with your mom and you're 50 or whatever. Versus, there's a fine line between that and then this story where it's like, hey, thanks for sticking with me. I stuck with this and here's all your money back.
Yeah.
Your success.
It's fascinating, really, too. I mean, also just the things that get generated by technology, because it's not all gloom and doom. It's like, my father told me this a zillion years ago. My dad was a programmer for IBM. And he told me, when I told him I wanted to be an actor, he said, well, technology is going to race ahead. Most people will be too lazy or too stupid, not to get off the couch and watch TV. So, they may as well watch you. And he was saying that, well, we all know statistically, technology races ahead of 1 million times advance a year.
Sure.
1 million times. And it's probably even more now because we all experience how our world has changed, but it's going to create new jobs. Yes, it's going to affect other jobs, but
sure.
I hope I proved my father wrong. My father was saying that, computers will, replace actors.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I don't know about that because how can you tap the nuance of human emotion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can present a human form and you can imbue it with some sort of life-like reality. But I don't know if it'll ever have that little spice that it makes us human.
Yeah, it won't. I think like we talked about last time, it's when the joining of all that stuff comes together once we've kind of perfected it as a species, right? Like CGI and practical effects, they're good on their own, but if you overuse either one, it's too much.
Yeah.
Once you figure out how to, now that you guys are able to get an actor's full performance and put that in a video game, me and Ben finished a game recently so J.K. Simmons played Commissioner Gordon in one of the movies. So there's a crossover with you and him there. But he was a voice actor in this big PC game that won Game of the Year last year, I think, called Baldur's Gate 3. And the voice and character animations in that game are so lifelike, like all these emotions, facial emotions, like all these nuances. And it's so much more immersive because of that. And now we've arrived in this place where we've kind of joined up, the old 2D avatars of video games with the real actor's performance, and it's kind of perfection. This sounds like it's going to be that even more. Like you guys have pushed that even further down the line. My point is I think as technology keeps moving forward, as long as you embrace it and walk with it, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when we had our strike last year, part of the issues with AI were, some sort of regulation or some sort of, and you kind of understand why it is that you can't totally regulate it, because then you wouldn't have advancement.
Correct.
And the producers have more or less said that they reserve the right to experiment with AI. But again, I was talking to my voiceover agent. You do a job, they can source your voice and feed it to AI, and it'll do a whole vocabulary based on just a couple of sentences and in your tonality and everything else. So it's scary. I think it's more scary for writers than anybody else. I know a lot of my writer buddies are very concerned that,
it seems like everybody in a creative pocket.
We're kind of worried. Yeah.
It's a new world for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're doing one of these games, performance-wise, how much prep do you do? Is it the same as like a film? Are you like method and you become Commissioner Gordon for a month before you record? What do you do?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm a method trained actor, but no. I mean, you do your same research. I mean, you have to know the world. You have to know, for example, great list of people who played Commissioner Gordon or like Spider-Man. You got to watch. Like I watched Willem Dafoe.
Norman Osborn.
Green Goblin. So you do the same amount of research and preparation because the thing about, interesting point, in the virtual reality game, there's no edit. We have to do complete oneers, right? One takes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can do 8-10 pages and it has to be in one because you can't edit it because you interrupt the player's ability to be immersed in the world.
Sure.
Oh.
There's no cuts there. They can look back over at you at any time.
Oh, yeah. And it was fascinating to learn that, strategically how they guide the player through the narrative they've created. And it's actually physical obstacles. It's like, they put out what would be a desk or something. So they can't just walk through the desk. They have to go one direction or another. Another fascinating thing is they had to defend against like pervy players, because they could do virtually anything.
Right.
Let's say they wanted to punch me in the face, punch Commissioner Gordon in the face. So there are all sorts of ways that they keep the player moving through the game and not get too, tweaky about, I wonder what's up her skirt. It's just, and when they first told me this, I said, you're kidding me, right? Like it would never enter my brain to do something.
Yeah.
He goes, unfortunately, you're talking about a couple billion players. And the beauty of the VR though, is the idea you just mentioned, it was the immersion. It's totally immersive, more so than other video games. So
for sure.
Yeah, I think fans are really gonna love it.
You're all the way in it.
When you're doing a performance for this, I mean, it's not like TV or film. I mean, it's almost like live theater the way you're having to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, in fact, I like to liken it to that because when you're in what they call the volume, you're synced up to the computers, the camera to the computers, and then it's you. So you can't exit the volume because you sort of break the sync, so to speak. But yeah, it's like doing theater in the round because you have to be on like every single second, which is like the beauty of theater. It's really the challenge of theater is not dropping character, being in character the entire time you're on stage. Same thing with this, and that's what I love about it, the work, and then it's even more fun when you have collaboration with the creative group. And interesting too on the virtual reality game, like we spent a lot of time rehearsing and really ironing out, each character within each scene. And I think we were really successful because it was great that the creators were willing to allow us to play around with things. And, we restructured some dialogue, because the video guys, like they're creatives, but they're not like, how to say, without insulting someone, it's like not the same level of direction as like, at least what I've experienced as a movie director.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't know exactly why that is.
Yeah.
Some of it might be only because like in virtual reality or in any of these franchises that are so well known, and the actual world of the franchise is just like, it's like groaning at the seams. Like there's so many different ways that they're going to go. And it's like, with the Spider-Man, they do Miles Morales spin-off, all these different spin-offs. So it's the new program platform in the gaming world. Please note, it's what they're doing in TV. Star Wars is going to go on for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Decades. Because they're going to source characters from other parts of the Star Wars, lexicon that haven't been explored, and develop them. And so it's endless. It's endless.
Yeah.
And the producers and studios, they've been looking for these brand names that they can just hang their hat on it and just go forever. So they've been looking to do this for 30 years, but I think they finally found quite a few, real franchises that have these massive followings. And then mix that in with the gaming world. The gaming world, it makes film look like it's nothing. It's literally, it's just like a speck.
I thought it was going to be like you just show up in your jogging pants, you do the lines, kind of like, I think The Simpsons, they would only work like one day a month. They do all the episodes. And like, this sounds, you really have to be in it. You got to be on your game and everything else. Oh,
absolutely, man. It was, especially the idea of doing these wonder takes, we had one little slip, we had to go back. Luckily, the last big scene we shot, it was like 11 or 12 pages. And we had to have to go at it 3 times. We get through it, but there'd be one thing, somebody was slightly off, and then the third time, you hit this magical spot, and it was a tremendous relief. But I don't know if you guys saw. Have you watched this television show Monsters about the Menendez brothers?
Yeah.
We were just talking about it
today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some of the writing is a little bit too on the nose, but it's extraordinary. The acting is incredible. And in this season, episode 5, there's this entire episode
Ben was telling me
focused on this one character.
Just slowly.
And it's a one take.
Yeah.
It's a one take. If this kid doesn't win the best acting Emmy next year,
Ben was telling me about it at work yesterday. He's like, dude, for 45 minutes, you're just slowly zooming in on this guy. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, but this kid was in the zone that long. I mean, wow. But so it's a similar challenge in games.
Maybe that's the thing too. Like you were talking about like franchises and stuff, but like I personally, like I would rather watch a film because they've tried to do this, and I'm not saying they're wrong because what the hell do I know? But like I don't necessarily want to watch or be a part of like these massive franchises on film. I like a small story where it's like, you got an hour and a half, maybe 3 hours. Tell me the story. If it's all encapsulated, like the Aliens franchise is great. Some of them work, but some of them don't, and they just keep dragging them along. A game, there's so many places you can go with that and move around because the whole point of participating in that is to explore. Like you're not set on a narrative that you have to stay on. Take a path off to the right and look for side quests and explore. Yeah. I think there's a lot more potential to blow those things out and make these big sweeping things like the Spider-Man series and the Batman series, and that stuff coming from comic books where there's so many source things. And it's interesting, the last couple of years, they've started pulling to television and film from video games because Did you watch The Last of Us on HBO? Have you seen that yet?
No.
Okay. I would be curious what your opinion is on that, because it's, we always do screenplays and stuff from novels and other things, right? Which is traditionally hard to make a film or a series out of. But when you go from a video game to make a TV series, each level works out to be like an episode of a show. The Last of Us is incredible, and it was a game first. So I'd be curious what you thought.
Oh, wow.
Watch that.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it had been a game first, and then, wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So like when I was watching it, like Ben would be like, "No, I know what's gonna happen." Yeah, because he'd played the game, he knew all the levels. So it was like I was seeing stuff like fresh, so I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening." He's like, "Oh, you just wait,"
There's another big series that's from games right now, and I can't think of what the hell it is off the top of my head. But anyways, I think you'll find you're a testament to that, right? Like video games, I tell people this. I think they are like perfected medium now, right? Because you have Hollywood level direction happening there. You have star-studded actors giving those performances. The music is incredible. You have these super high level creatives making levels and making the immersion possible. It's like the next level past even like film, because you're participating in all of that. You're not just an audience member. It's landed at a place where it's really remarkable. I am curious if you had to do voice work for games or screen acting, and you could only pick one, what would you pick?
Well, I'm a movie guy, so
movies.
I'd always take a movie over it. But truth be told, I was talking to my agent yesterday. It's like I'm so happy to have voice work as part of my palette, because the older you get, the fewer roles there are. A lot of our entertainment is skewed rather young. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I agree with you. I like taking a small story, make a well told small story. All these other things, it's fun to identify with the characters, but the worlds are so vast. Like, yes. Look, there's no way I could have digested the entirety of Star Wars, the Star Wars world. It's unbelievable. But It was funny on the set of Star Wars to see the crew when they had their breaks or lunch break. There were like 50 of them playing Star Wars trivia, and these people were good, man. They knew.
They love. There are some of those franchises, man. People they know every single thing about them.
Yeah.
Because they've been around for so long. Are you a gamer at all? Like, have you ever been into playing video games, or just the voice work can be?
I had a rather disappointing and singular experience with games. I was babysitting my 3-year-old godson, and he was like, Godfather Mark, play with me. So I was like, Super Mario Bros.
Uh-huh.
The 3-year-old wiped my ass, bit my ass. I was like, all right, I'm too old with it. It's just, the one and only experience.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
I think it's generational. It's like,
sure.
When I was coming up, obviously there were no video games, so it's like my brain wasn't wired that way.
But even in like the 80s, did you ever go to like arcades or even like pinball machines and stuff? Was that?
I used to like. I used to play pool and we used to like Pac-Man.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Or Battleship Galactica.
Yeah. Battlestar.
That was a good one.
I know.
That was a good.
Galaga.
Yeah, the one with the. Yeah. That was the one with like the spinny controller.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that stuff a lot, but actual gaming, I don't have the time to like.
That's exactly what Scotty said. I was like, I want to ask him about games. He's like, he's busy doing movies and voice work. He's not playing video games.
And he's playing golf, and he's doing all this other cool stuff. He's got the wine experience, the cooking experience. I mean, Where would he fit that in?
He's going to Japan. All right. Well, I love them, so I wanted my sons were like pounding on the table for me to ask you about Kevin Conroy. Did you ever get to meet him or work with him?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The very first original Batman cartoon series.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those were the good old days, man. We were all in a circle and all performing together. And then, when it was your turn, you'd step up and go to the mic. But yeah, Kevin Conroy, what an amazing voice. And what an amazing show. I never, you're doing a cartoon. You never imagined it would have, longevity, but they do. And it's great fun. That's the most fun you have in the voiceover field is like if you get on a cartoon, it has a decent run. It's the best work. You slide in once a month, maybe 4 hours.
Yeah. Work on your line. Yeah. He's so many people's favorite, like iconic Batman. That's who they think of when they think of Batman.
Yeah.
Versus all the on-screen, however you feel about, whoever has played Batman. But Kevin Conroy for everybody else is like the guy. In the Arkham Origins game where you were Deathstroke in that game, they were kind of setting up some Suicide Squad stuff that didn't ever pan out. One of my sons wanted me to add. Were they talking to you back then about like a prolonged Suicide Squad thing where you were going to keep playing Deathstroke, or did that never come up?
No, never came up really. No, it was and I only did the voice for Deathstroke. They had crews up in, I believe, with Montreal or Toronto, the stuntmen who did all the physicalization of the characters. But I know there was never any real talk about it. But funny to see how I remember doing that game, however many years ago that was, and the cinematics then were extraordinary, and it's hard to fathom that they've come 10 times more brilliant, more vivid. It's an interesting field because it changes. It gets better and better and better and better.
Right.
Movies, you wonder if a movie if they've reached a peak. I don't know. I mean,
I think I agree with you because you can go back like Aliens lives forever because it was so good. Like it doesn't age poorly.
Yeah.
You go back and try to play a game from 1986, or that was the year for Aliens, right?
Yeah.
86. You try to play a game from 86, that's a different experience than Batman Arkham Shadow.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you do Norman Osborn. So Green Goblin's such an iconic villain for Spider-Man. Are you excited to do, because you've done the Norman Osborn part, but it hasn't rolled over to Green Goblin in the games yet, right? You haven't had to do the Green Goblin?
No, I mean, they kind of...
Are you wanting to do Green Goblin?
Pardon?
Are you wanting to do Green Goblin?
I would love to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Excited to, but it's at the moment, I think there's a rumor we're going to get started next spring, but whether or not it's, about the Green Goblin, I'm not really quite sure, because the way I got a feeling there could be, 2 games before then, because the way they set up the end of 2 was that, Otto Octavius and I are going to become partners.
Right.
So they could well have one entire game about our partnership and how that goes. So we'll see. We'll find out. In addition to the strike last year, Insomniac Games was hacked. Major.
Oh yeah, I remember that because they released a lot of the Wolverine footage for the Wolverine game.
Oh, there was so many. Then there were bits of the conceptual stuff for Spider-Man that was stolen as well. So yeah, we from what I understood, we were going to have already shot the 3rd Spider-Man this year, but it's all been pushed.
Okay.
Hopefully next year they start.
But you'll be back. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to play it. I hope it makes all the money.
All right. We're going to talk about Shawshank. We're going to talk about Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Mark. Okay. The Shawshank Redemption turns 30 this year. You were just talking about how these games are going to live on for decades and decades, and you've already been in films that have like had those kind of legs. At the cons, you have a picture of Boggs for signatures. And what has the reception and fandom been like for that character?
Well, I'm the character people love to hate. We were flown out to Mansfield, Ohio, for one of the 30th anniversary celebrations, and it was moderated. We did these 3 big panels that were moderated by Ben Mankiewicz of TCM, and had almost all the cast except for Tim and Morgan, but they were introducing us as we walked on stage, and they introduced me, and they booed me like,
I was gonna say, but that's kind of a
5,000 people booed me. I was like, all right, come on, bring it on. You know? But yeah, I mean, I think it's great to be recognized, and obviously it was an effective role because, to this day, people will say, God, you were bad in that. And I was like, well, what was it like being so bad? Mm-hmm. It's the most fun an actor can do. Villains are the most fun. But just kind of an iconic role in an iconic film. I mean, that's Shawshank, probably one of the best film scripts ever.
Mm-hmm. This is also the year of like Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, True Lies, The Lion King, Speed, like The Crow, Maverick. And then like, let me give you a list of some movies that made more money at the box office that year than Shawshank. Little Women, Baby's Day Out, My Girl 2, The Shadow, I Love Trouble, Major League 2. I mean, it was like, I think 95th in box office for that year. So for this thing to have grown like it has over the decades, I mean, what has that been like for you to have been a part of and for your performance?
Well, thank God for DVD. if we had no DVD, we would have, I'm sure the word of mouth would have taken the film, quite a long ways, but DVD, it exploded because people, it still happens now. Like, Shawshank's an awful lot. And now it's becoming multi-generational, like Aliens. And I think it's just because it's just such a damn good story. Great nuance. And, just the development of the narrative, which is so brilliant. And there were things that went missing, in the film. The one anecdote I like to tell is, we got behind in schedule. They had to cut a couple of things. Mm-hmm. One thing was that when I get beaten up, I was actually meant to be tossed off the 4th tier of the prison block.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
and just go hurtling in the air, splatting on the floor. And they had this whole rig set up to have me suspended by a wire, and then they actually run a camera up, so it makes a false impression that I'm actually falling, but it's really the camera moving toward me. And then that's why Boggs never walked again. But they had to cut that just for time.
Uh-huh.
And then the other thing that was so brilliant, which they had to cut as well, was after Tim comes out of the sewer and the iconic pose. He actually was meant to start running back up the hill toward the prison, and the audience were freaked out. They were like, "No, man, you're going the wrong way. Go the other way." But then, just as he reached the crest of the hill, a locomotive came by and he hops the train, and that's how he gets to the next town.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But it also ties together a whole other piece where early on in the film, there are moments where they're filming Andy in his cell, and he has that one little window, and you see him looking out there. And in the current telling of the story, you think he's just being wistful for wanting to be out of prison.
Right.
But it was actually, the clouds you see were actually puffs of smoke from the locomotive. He was actually hearing a locomotive, and the audience still would have thought, he's just longing to be outside. But then when he finally, the culmination
Wow.
of him escaping is that he had timed when the locomotive was going to be there, so he timed it perfectly.
Damn.
Ah.
So, and
Yeah.
I remember I said to the producers, I was like, "Oh, don't cut the train, don't cut the train. It's so
Yeah, I didn't know
romantic."
that.
He thought of everything. Oh, my
Yeah.
But and they had a real live vintage steam locomotive down the tracks from the prison. There was everything was worked out on location. You have the hill, the stream down below. It would have been so magic. But
Yeah.
it still works.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that will be part of anecdote.
It's still the top. I mean, it's still the top scored movie on IMDb. Like you put 100 people in a room, 60 of them are saying Shawshank Redemption is their favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, I think it's because people can relate to Andy's story and a lot of the characters in the film. I mean, there was a real great ensemble cast. Same thing is true though, with Aliens. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim Cameron, he had that script in his hand for 8 years before it got made. So it was really his baby. He knew exactly what he was going to do. And that's what it really takes to make great films. You have to have directors that are so prepared.
Scotty educated us.
And of course, lucky now with collaboration with great cinematographers, actors. It's but I'm consider myself extremely lucky. I've been in some pretty classic films, even in like the action comedy drama. I mean, Rush Hour is a classic.
What was the residual situation like when Shawshank got to like TNT? Were you getting checks every time it was on? How does that work?
Oh, they pay out quarterly. You get a check quarterly. And yeah, I mean, the payouts on films are, when it's a hit film, it's welcome money. Now, I never got a cent off of Aliens because I was working under British Actors Equity at the time. And the deal was that however many actors a production brought over to the UK, you had to cast the requisite number of guys that were in British Equity, but there was no residual structure for us. It was a buyout.
Gotcha.
Oh.
So I got paid the exact same amount of money that they paid Bill Paxton, but all those guys went on to earn at least $1 million, at least. It was, and Shawshank, it's kind of like an annuity. I get checks 4 times a year.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it didn't do great the year it came out, but it ended up being probably one of the best financial decisions you think, like in the long run.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can pretty well count on it. That whole residual structure is being threatened too, because ultimately, with streaming, we saw our residual rates go down. So that you can do a show on streaming. It pays off a little bit, but nothing like it does for film that we did in the 80s, 90s. We actually got paid profit.
Yeah. When you're in the hole in Shawshank, everyone else, like when Andy's in the hole and they open the door up, he's like kind of blinded by the light and everything. Boggs is not. Boggs is like one with the darkness kind of thing. It's almost like he is like not human, Were you aware of that, like in the performance when you were doing it? Is that what you were trying to do? But I hadn't really noticed it until I was doing this rewatch lately.
Yeah, the night before I did that scene, I actually spent about 4 hours. I was going to try and do the whole night. Because there was actually a hole in the prison. I mean, it was below the cell box. And it was scary as hell. I mean, after about 4 hours, I was like, all right,
I'm good.
Out, let me out. I'm cool. But they had a real turnover of security guards that worked in prison. Most guys didn't last but a couple of weeks because they swore they heard things, saw things.
Sure.
But think about it. It was a prison that had been filled with thousands of inmates
Right.
since the 1800s. You can feel the energy. Feel it. And especially that one night, just being in absolute darkness, sitting on the floor. Wow, that makes
4 hours felt like 12, probably.
Oh, yeah, just endless. And then you imagine people who suffered that. Wow, it can certainly break you because all you're there with your breath, your heartbeat, your mind, right? It's like your heartbeat's a metronome. All you have is time.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah,
That's scary on its own.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. The one thing I'm proud about with my character in Shawshank, a lot of fans have said, "You're the reason I never went to prison."
Yeah, you probably kept some dudes out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the villains in the film. I mean, I feel like the warden is way worse. I feel like Hadley's way worse. But as I've gotten older, when Hadley's pulling you into the cell and you're holding onto the bars and the fear on your face, and it's like the first time we see Boggs is human. I feel sorry for him, like in that moment. Right. And I think them not using you getting thrown off makes that scene more powerful.
I do too.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a tremendous shot. I mean, the audience would have loved it. I mean, they would have really seen Bob get his comeuppance. But like I say, time and money, and it's. I was fully prepared to do it. I was. In fact, I'd done a test with the harness just to see what it was like. Adjustments they had to make to be suspended that long. But and I was game. It's the movies,
Yeah.
We talked about that before the pod a couple weeks ago or whatever, when we were talking about Shawshank on our own. But like, I think the thing that's perfect about Shawshank is everything that you want for every character happens. Like as an audience member, like all the bad guys, you want them to get theirs, right? Because they're terrible, and they all get theirs. And you want Andy to get away, and you want Red to find him again because they're best friends and they've survived this lifetime together. And anytime they try to do that in a movie, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It comes off corny, and Shawshank doesn't. It's perfect at the end.
Yeah, I think that's just the quality of the writing and the acting. Morgan Freeman has got such presence.
Sure.
And the great chemistry between the two of them.
This is the movie that kind of made him Morgan Freeman, though, right? Like he was already a colossal actor, but he wasn't narrating everything in your brain until Shawshank. After that,
that's true. Yeah, and I'm sure he doesn't mind doing the voiceover work, but I think they kind of overdid it, like $1 Million Baby. Just like, wow. I'm never a fan of voiceover, but I think it's like it could be a cheat. Because
it's like a crutch.
Sure, yeah.
It's as if
show me.
You don't have enough visuals to be able to tell the story, so you have to do it with audio. But I have to say, like, Morgan's VO there is classic. Classic. In fact, the first day we read the piece all together, our first table read, and we were in the mess hall, which was like this tin roofed, crescent shaped roof building. So your voice would like ping all over the place. But when Morgan said the first words, Andy Dufresne, whatever it was, the hair on our arms just stood up. And all the actors, as soon as Morgan opened his mouth, we were like, okay, here we go. This is, we all knew it was a great script. That's the thing. It's like, when you, I can think of the great scripts that I've read, Aliens, Departed, Shawshank, because they jump off the page. Mm-hmm. It's like a great book that you just fly through. Oh, there's a continuity interest there, and Shawshank did that. Aliens too. I mean, Aliens. You would read Aliens the way the movie moved. It's like a roller coaster.
Right.
But I remember the first time I read it, I think I read it in like 40 minutes because I was just flipping pages. Yeah.
I didn't realize all the stuff with Shawshank that Scotty educated us on, because you were talking about, the director believing in something and making it their baby. The director on this film and all the hurdles he had to jump through to keep it, because they wanted.
Rob Reiner was offering like $3 million. We'll let you direct something else. Let us take this. And he was like, no, I want to direct this. I mean, he bet on himself,
Yeah. And Rob Reiner, he tried a lot to because he wanted to direct.
Mm-hmm.
And but he honored his contract, and Frank had it in his contract. And but the odd thing was Rob Reiner's first choices for Andy and Red were Tom Cruise as Andy and Gene Hackman as Red. Now, Gene Hackman I get, but I still think having Morgan be Red, it was just a little twist that made it classic.
Yeah. It's a game changer. Sure.
Unlikely friendship in prison, especially between the white guy and the black guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We talked about that a little bit. Like, at the time it's set, that was pretty unique. And Ben's wife was like, well, they're in Maine. They're not in Mississippi. So maybe it wasn't so unique up there. And I had never thought of that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was definitely the right choice.
Yeah.
The thing that I love so much about your characters is that they seem to be very understated. And I don't know if that's your choice or if that's from the script. Like, even Drake in Aliens is this big, hulking, badass Marine. He never raises his voice until acid's thrown on him when Vasquez shoots the alien and he dies. Otherwise, he's very understated. Boggs could have been this big, scary, screaming force, and he never raises his voice the whole movie. He's very whispery, and like, that's what makes him creepy. Yeah.
One time I raised my voice, I said, "Fuck off!"
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do the one time. That's right, in the laundry room.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was classically trained as an actor, and the whole thrust of our training was about how to transform, to transform into the character, and that's the challenge. Like, how far can you go? And yeah, like Gary and I are contemporaries. He and I did a play together in London right after I graduated drama school. We did Jean Genet's Death Watch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Gary's is tremendous. He's amazing. Occasionally he's had the luxury of being able to, have appliance makeup and things like that to augment your performance, which is great. I love playing characters. I love creating them, and ultimately is how believable you can make the character. And funnily enough, on Shawshank, before he started shooting, I was just chatting with Morgan Freeman. Morgan was just like, just talk. That was his take, just talk. And so it isn't so much that performances are understated. I'm pretty specific and like wanting certain things out of the scene, developing character traits that enhance the intentions and actions of the character. And some of it is you have success, and then you have time, to develop a character. So a lot of movie making and TV can be really false, because you can be ushered onto a set and they introduce you to a woman and it's like, oh, hi, this is Jane. She's going to be your wife. Okay, ready? Let's shoot. It's like, oh, wait, hang on a second. We say hello and get to know each other, talk some things out. With both Aliens and Shawshank, we rehearsed, properly rehearsed. Shawshank was almost 3 weeks of rehearsal.
Oh, awesome.
That's incredible.
And then consequently, there's a great book. I always mention this. It's Frank Darabont put it together. It's called Shawshank, The Final Shooting Script. Check it out. It's on Amazon. It's a phenomenal book. It's the actual final shooting script that, with anecdotes of things that were cut, things that were added. And Frank Darabont was very, very generous in acknowledging my lines that I created in rehearsal. So a lot of my famous lines, like, anybody get to you yet? to I could be a friend to you. That's my line.
That's
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
yeah, and but it only comes through that sort of process of really rehearsing, ironing some stuff out. Not every thing is perfect, and if you don't rehearse, then it can become a struggle, or even more so if you have a director that doesn't really know what they're
Right.
shooting. But yeah, so kudos to Frank Darabont, and say someone like James Cameron. I
Yeah.
tell this anecdote. When I walked into his office when I was getting the role, he had the storyboard plastered in sequence around all four walls of his office. I mean, it went round and round and round. And I bet money that every storyboard is what appeared on screen. I'd be willing to bet $1 million.
That's incredible. That's incredible visual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
at that time, James Cameron was on the hook. Like if this movie went over budget, he was on the hook monetarily. So that's part of the reason why I think that Jim got this crazy reputation like being a megalomaniac. He's not. He's a perfectionist. He is definitely old school. That he's an auteur. He's the general on set. And he's calling the shots.
Yeah.
And it's his reputation on the line. So, he made quite a few films that have stand the test.
Yeah.
But Aliens, being one of them. So, when he was trying to get the movie made, they said, we'll buy it from you. And he's like, no, I want to make it. And they said, well, you haven't made anything yet. So go away, make a movie, and then we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what does a genius do? He makes freaking Terminator.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Here's the movie
saw
I
that
made.
movie in a hotel recently, and it's like, wow, like this holds up too.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
great suspense. Amazing.
Well, thanks for taking time for us today, Mark. And it's always a pleasure. We're looking forward to the game, Batman Arkham Shadow. What are you working on next?
I've been appearing on the Bosch Legacy television show on Amazon Plus. I got a script in development. It's a very noirish film, but it's a female lead, and it's a mother who's desperate to get her son out of rough and tumble Worcester, Massachusetts, and it's a female empowerment film. I think women are just gonna she kills all the white guys. So
It's yours. This is you.
no,
it's
I didn't
your
write
script?
this. I did a short film, and my performance got a lot of notice. But the writer his intent was to develop the short into a full length. Well,
Gotcha.
the lead in the short was actually a guy, and after some people had seen it and he got some notes, they were like, no, just make it the mother story. Like that's what a lot of it's doing. And it's infinitely better story. Infinitely better.
Awesome.
So I'm excited. Just a matter of got my son's production company, Studio Pictures, living down in London. They're trying to package it right now, and so fingers crossed we can put that together. But in addition to that, just looking forward to doing more of the game work when it comes back up. What else? That's pretty much it. I'm going to New York City Comic Con next week. If anybody's going to be in New York,
Nice.
yeah, it's.
I've never been to the one in New York. I've always wanted to go.
I haven't been in New York either, but I mean, we went to San Diego for the first time in like 20 years this year. Wow, like that's a
Different animal, right?
And I hear New York is just as crazy.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
Ben, did you want to say hi to Mark?
Oh, Ben wants. Yeah.
Ben wanted to say.
Yeah.
I'm moving the laptop over.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Mark,
Hey, how's it going?
I'm like the behind the scenes guy. I do like the camera and all that. Anyway, I was on the Aliens one and all that. I just want to say hi. And also, I loved you in Rush Hour. That's all.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
This was great. I just wanted to personally say hi. That's all.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that, man. I hope I get to meet you when we hope to come back to Texas.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you for taking your time and talking with us too.
Absolutely. No, my pleasure. It's good fun. And we had a great time in Amarillo, and yeah, I hope we can come back. I actually want to stop in and see play at the little theater there. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a sweet time. Thanks, man.
Have to let us know about that.
When it comes around.
Yeah, when that
Yeah.
comes around, the title of that other film that you were talking about with the female lead, so we can check that out. Maybe we can get that on the pod.
Yeah. If we get up and running, I'll be sure to tell you about it.
Yeah.
It's a great script. Some really great action.
Good luck with all that. We're excited for you. We're pulling for you.
Yeah.
If Mark Rolston says it's a good script after Aliens, Shawshank, Rush Hour. You can tell me any script is good. I'll be like, yeah, I don't know. I'll watch it though.
Well, this one is, man. I tell you, it's funny. Development is a very interesting process. But this writer sent me one of his first drafts, and the first 37 pages, I thought, oh my God, this is like Shawshank level stuff. This is incredible.
Shit.
Because it's quite a weave. It's like, it becomes a thriller, and you don't know who did what to whom. And then after 37 pages, they're like, what? It went away. The magic. I mean, something in the weave. And this guy's a friend, but I said, look, I'm not saying this to be honoring with you, put you down, but I mean, it's like those first 37 pages, dude, phenomenal. I said, but you lost me. And he said, oh, I know. And when he finally cracked the nut of this script, because it's a weave, very difficult to do. I sent it off to my son. My son's very, he's British, and he mainly produces like British-centric stories. But we've never done anything together. We always fantasized about it'd be great to do a movie. And I sent this to him just as a first look. I was expecting him to say, Dad, I like it, but it's not for me. It's not going to fit. But he read it and was just like, absolutely. Let's run.
That's awesome, man.
Great. That's great.
So,
Yeah.
My son's a great businessman, so I hope his business touch is
Yeah.
Yeah.
for this.
Keep us posted on that for
Okay.
sure, man.
Yeah.
We really
All right.
want to check it out.
And you can listen to more episodes like this on our YouTube channel and anywhere you get your podcast. Mac and Cheese out.